Welcome to the podcast hosted by timecamp.com on how to stay on top of your work.
Hi everyone, this is Kate and I'm back with another episode of podcast Stay on Top of Your Work. And today my guest is Lukasz Zelezny, and he's a CEO, keynote speaker, and social media consultant. He is also the head of organic acquisition at USwitch. Thank you, Lukasz, for coming here today. I'm very happy that you're my guest.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation. Just a bit of kind of little correction. I'm just not a consultant. I'm just working for ZPG, which is a big company right now, owning a couple of sub companies. One of the companies, USwitch. Lots of people probably remember me. I was working for uswitch.com, a price comparison website. From the January 2018, I just become a director of organic performance of ZPG. So right now, not only USwitch, but Zoopla, which is one of the biggest property portal in UK, and also Prime Location, Smart New Homes, and probably soon much more companies, more than 1,000 people. So it's a very exciting year for me. And aside of this, obviously, like you mentioned, a bit of conferences.
That's great that you're actually talking about it, because I wanted you to introduce yourself to our audience and say a few words. How did it happen that you became the person you are when it comes to your career? And also, what are your professional interests?
My professional interest, my lifestyle is an SEO. But my background is also in music. I was a musician. I was a music producer back in the day. So that gives me a bit of, I was always looking to find something between the math and the science and this kind of more humane art aspects of life. And I found this nice balance between numbers and art inside an SEO. Before I was doing music, I was DJing when I was living in Poland, and that's how the story began. I wanted to have a website because I was born in a small town, and I couldn't get opportunity to to play in the clubs, because the clubs been only in Warsaw or in Krakow. The clubs have been promoting drum and bass. So what I did, I bought the domain. I remember that cost me 69 Polish zlotys some long time ago, and I started playing with websites, and then I started thinking how to make the website ranking higher. I remember that back in the day there was no Google Analytics. There was something what was called Stat4U, and I was using Stat4U just to understand the traffic, and this is how the story began. And obviously, and that was going very well. I started to have bookings and so on and so on and so on, but obviously drum and bass won't pay your bills, and mom and dad was not happy to pay my bills forever. So I was thinking like, okay, fine. Maybe I should start doing SEO professionally, because I never wanted to do music professionally. I always was thinking that music is more like a hobby for me. So I started to do SEO, and then I moved in 2007 to United Kingdom, and this is how I started to work, always in-house. So on the client side, couple of exciting roles in the last 11 years. And this is in my story in a nutshell.
Wow, that's really interesting. Thank you for describing your life story. So I would like to ask you how websites or blogs can contribute to a company's success.
Well, it's a very big topic, and obviously we have 30 minutes. So, to answer this, I just would like, always, this is my rule when I'm speaking on the conferences, I just want to give people something that they can pick up from my speech or pick up from this podcast, and they can implement. You mentioned blogs and SEO. Obviously, blogging, and there is lots of aspects of blogging. I would like to step back from blogging, because you also can think about landing pages, interesting landing pages. You mentioned SEO. What SEO is very often that you're trying to target a primary audience, people who not necessarily know about you, your business, your brand in the first place. So, there is blog is one of the way to target the frequency of writing. The length of the blog posts will be crucial. So I'm always giving this advice: don't try to write every day 100-200 words blog post if you want to rank. Rather, do a research and write a very long article that try to touch all the aspects of the problem and bring them answers to people. And that way, you will not only rank higher, but you will be generating much more traffic, and you will be not trying to dangle all these things all together the same time, and it have kind of more strategic approach. But again, like, blog is only the form of kind of storing content. I very often like to talk about more static pages with a content. And maybe not only the blog kind of idea of presenting content, because blogs most likely are like a bunch of articles, interesting or not, but bunch of articles. I will give you another example of a very, very interesting content that is made for an SEO and is bringing a lot of traffic. So I recently moved to my house. And obviously, when you're moving to your own property, one of the things you really want is to have a pet. And I always had dogs as a kid, but I really love cats. And I'm not an expert, and I'm struggling about which cat breed I would like to have. And I'm typing, let's say, Ragdoll versus Maine Coon, and there is a website. Whoever is listening us to right now can, after this podcast, go on the Google and write Maine Coon versus Ragdoll, or Burmese cat versus Birman cat, and there is like a landing page which contain all this combination, various landing pages which contain all this combination, and it's a really nice table view, like you would compare MacBook Pro with MacBook Air, and all the pros and cons about the character of cat, about the lifespan, and so on and so on. And this is a perfect example of how you can attract people. Another example, like we're using in USwitch, we're trying to answer questions that people may have. In UK, there is something which is called smart meters. I am not sure if this is in Poland. Maybe it is. So I will be referring to UK because I am not sure. And some people may not be really sure what the smart meters are. So they're writing what are smart meters, and we're trying to serve them a fantastic article which is describing from A to Z what smart meters are. And they are able to see that, but they also are able to see, oh, that's USwitch. I can switch my electricity provider and save some money. And this is this nice combination of serving information, but also remembering that this website and many others that are in the internet, they are not a library, they are businesses. So the focus on revenue and focus on the business leads is crucial. I could go deeper into this, but I think that is giving a little of maybe another example. If we're talking about blogs and blog posts, I would like all our listeners to recommend to go after this conversation we have here to the website gov.uk. It's fantastic. If in terms of UX, you will see a nice large font. The sentences are splitted after 2-3 sentences. There is a gap. It's very nice to read. Links are very clear. There is lots of kind of inspiration about how to design your blog and your content.
Mm-hmm. So when we are talking about SEO, because maybe not everyone is aware with what it is, could you give a short but specific definition on what exactly is a SEO and why is it so important?
So SEO, it is 3 aspects right now, and I will try to keep this very simple. So the first aspect is obviously an on-page SEO. So all the things like the content length, the properly optimized title tag, and meta description, H1 tags, H2 tags, making sure that you have images which contain a proper alt tags, and also the image file name is properly, so you're not using the random character, random letters in the file name, but maybe you're using something more descriptive, and so on and so on and so on. So that's on-page SEO. Then you have a technical SEO. So that will be everything related with things like page speed, for example, pages, for example, log analysis. So understanding how Googlebot is crawling your website every day, finding out if there are any areas that Googlebot, especially for big websites, is spending what we call crawl budget, and maybe Googlebot should be blocked from some areas, and then this crawl budget could be spent much better. Having a properly configured SSL, having properly configured caching, and again, an advice: most of the people right now, when they want to launch a website, want to start with WordPress. 28% of all websites right now across the internet is based on WordPress. So remember that, if you have a WordPress website, there is a risk of installing lots of things, and that will slow down the server, the whole website. Make sure that you're not trying to install all the plugin all together, and the server is fast enough. SiteGround or WP Engine, those are two that I would recommend, because they are dedicated solutions for website based on WordPress. So we said about on-page SEO, a technical SEO, and finally there is an off-page SEO. So off-page SEO, in a nutshell, will be everything what is happening outside your website, but also have an impact on the performance, how the website is performing, and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. So links from other websites to your websites, all the kind of shares across social media. These things, I would say, are the most important. And obviously, I also wanted to mention that there is whole this aspect of analytics, aspects of SEO. So engagement calculated as bounce rate and page per sessions that are generated. Everything like that can be measured through Google Analytics.
When you're talking about all these things connected with SEO, I'm thinking that this is such a huge area. Do you think there are any good strategies, methodologies, anything that can help in managing a good website?
Obviously there are, but we, like SEO people, we need constantly to try to learn and pick up what is there. And again, if you have a very, very big website, let's say Allegro, I would start, if I would join Allegro group, or if I would join any other Gratka or something like that from Poland, Polish example, from English example, we can have like BBC, CNN, or something like that. Those are huge websites. So I would definitely start from a technical SEO. Okay, so checking what is the page speed, where people, how we can make the website responsive if it's not responsive. What about the SSL certificate, if all the aspects of SSL certificate are in the place, because when you have such a complex website with thousands of URLs, tweaking these things and making these things working automatically impact all the URLs that are there. For smaller website, obviously all these technical aspects are also as important as the priority is similar, the level of priority. However, you can be more selective in terms of dealing with content and so on and so on. So what I'm trying to say, I have a couple of tactics I just wanted to share right now. And one of the tactics I'm using, it's called gap analysis. So you're measuring where you rank, where you are not ranking, and where your competitors are ranking. So you're saying, hey, show me where are keywords that my competitor is ranking, or two competitors simultaneously are ranking in Google Co UK or Google PL, and my website is not. You can do this with SEMrush. You can do this with Systrix. Actually, SEMrush can provide this natively inside the application. Rest you can do in an Excel. So you have Systrix, you have SEMrush, you have Searchmetrics, you have Spyful. On the Polish market, you have SEMStore, you have SEMstorm, and you have Senuto. Which are both very, very, very good, impressive tools. So that's one approach. The other approach you have, it is called what I call snapshot analysis. So you're saying, hey, show me keywords that already are ranking but not high enough. And then you're trying to optimize content. And what the optimization is, it's very simple. Add additional paragraph of text. Maybe expose more what you would like to rank on, add a couple of photos, modify headers, add title tags. If title tags are too long, shorten them. Yeah. And the third, try to attack featured snippets, so answer boxes. If your website already is ranking quite high in top 5, you may want to, and you know that there is an answer box. What is answer box? Is the special results like a position 0 above the organic search and straight below the PPC. So you may want to write the content which will be better than competitors and will push your competitor out from this answer box spot and make your website ranking there. So you will secure 2 spots, organic and answer box. If you add PPC advertising on this specific keywords, then you will secure 3 spots in the search engine results page.
And what mistakes do you think companies make that the traffic on their website is poor?
Okay, so there is various of areas. The first is that companies sometimes doesn't take decision on numbers. So they're closing some section of the website and not looking at the numbers, how this section were performing. Very often that's our completely random decisions that then is very difficult to fix. The common problem is when there is a migration of the website from one CMS to another, and that must be done in a very, very careful way if you have a website that is performing well in a SERPs, in an SEO. Another is crucial, but also, and this is very common, there are situations when website being hit either by manual penalty, which is quite easy to identify through Google Search Console. There is a section where you can see, but sometimes the website being hit by algorithmical hit. Yeah, and when that happens, very often company may not be able to identify this. And I will give you a couple of examples. You may see a website which is relatively small website of some local business, and you can see that Google indexed this website on the level of 500,000 URLs. And someone who doesn't even have much about the SEO experience would say, like, hold on, you are a small local business and you really have 500,000 URLs, or there is something really, really wrong with this CMS you are using. That indexation went so high. And that's why probably Google was thinking that either you're trying to artificially inflate the size of your website, or there is something that was that the reason was wrong configuration of your CMS. And then someone like someone who is a skilled SEO can come and can say, like, listen, you need to do this, you need to do that. We're starting to measure the impact. We're starting to setting up the goals, the KPIs, and then everything's starting to pick up, and we are back on track. Yeah. So very often it's easy to fix. It can be duplication across the various subdomains. That's another common problems. Sometimes people are buying a couple of domains. The configuration of the server is wrong, and Google is starting to index a couple of times the same website. Very easy to fix. Migrations of CMS, another problem. Not properly, and even a big companies. I was reading about one, a very, very big airline who done a migration and they done like fundamental mistakes. And you could see that lots of keywords that have been very prominent with lots of searches, and cost per click was extremely high. However, they were ranking before organically, so they had huge traffic. Right now doesn't rank, and they probably had to start lots of things from scratch. Yeah, so that would be my answer.
Okay. So when you were talking about all these things connected with Google, I was thinking about technology. What do you think about technology and its importance in marketing, but also in websites? Because I think that SEO, it's all, a kind of influence of technology.
Yeah. So there is always this debate between technology and creativity. I think that the balance should be in the middle. And what I can, the best answer I can give you on this question, it is like, technology is here to help you. It's not a final destination. So common mistake, put as many plugins on your WordPress as you can because you think that everything is possible and everything is needed. No, you will ruin the performance of your website, you will ruin the user experience, and there will be so much distraction that everything will, will not be working. And again, my advice, server, SiteGround, let's say, or WP Engine for WordPress solution. Analytics software, yeah, so Google Analytics, Heap Analytics, if you want to go a bit deeper. Make sure that you're doing decision based on numbers. Make sure that your website is in Google Search Console, especially the new Google Search Console, which is showing you 18 months of the data. And then, use the plugins that you really need. One of the plugin, so maybe let's go into this because this is a part of the technology, what plugins for WordPress. And again, I will be focusing on WordPress because this is probably the most popular CMS right now people are using. OneSignal, amazing plugin to send automatic browser notifications. SEO Smart Links, linking between pages consistently. Another one could be WP Smoosh, which will optimize images. Hummingbirds, which will optimize the speed of the website. Maybe Sumomi, which will help with the share buttons, and obviously Yoast for SEO performance. And yeah, once again, technology is for support of the creativity. And if we will be thinking about this in that list of priorities, so first creativity and then technology that is going to support, like Steve Jobs was saying, like first there must be a problem and then we'll create a technology, to fix that problem. Don't try to create a technology and then, okay, how we can sell it, you know what I mean? So yeah, that would be my answer. The technology is to support the creativity.
Mm-hmm. And what tools, when we talk about technology, do you use in your work?
I love this question because I can talk about tools forever. So for link tracking, Ahrefs and Majestic. And again, using these tools together will give you a much wider view. You can also use SEMrush for this, or Searchmetrics, that will give you a much wider horizon. For keyword research, SEMrush, Searchmetrics, Systrix, and Spyfu. And for Polish websites, if anyone would like to use, that is definitely SEMstorm and Senuto. Then I have a couple of favorite tools in terms of social media as well. So I'm using Hootsuite for scheduling. I'm using Deliverit for content curation. I'm using Community for segmentation of audience. I'm using Sniply to generate call to actions to curated content. So the Sniply and Deliverit are together linked. And there is also brand tracking, that obviously Brand24. I don't need to introduce this tool, everyone knows. And maybe Viral Content Buzz, that's another one for spreading content across social networks of other people. So that's my like every one more enterprise level SEO softwares. That would be an SEO Clarity and Bright Edge. But again, like that's are tools that I'm using because the organization is big, and obviously whoever is listening us right now, then they can choose. It's good to have a trial of each of them and then get back to this. SEO Monitor, let me also mention. And yeah.
That's a really good list. It's good to check out all these tools. So tell me, what inspires you in your work? Do you have any particular source of inspiration, and maybe books, because I love this topic?
Yes, I really hope that this question will go that way. Yes, you know, SEO is important, but there are other aspects of life. Books obviously inspire me a lot. I was recently reading, and actually I will be honest, I was not reading, I was using audiobook because this is the way how I prefer. Lem in Invincibles, I think that was Niezwyciężony in Polish. Amazing audiobook. I really like John Esbo, Cockroaches. Recently I was reading. I like a lot everything from Sapkowski. I like Torgal. And then I like Dale Carnegie, how to find friends, how to win friends and influence people. That's probably the book I was reading many times. I know people in London who read this book 6-7 times a year just to keep them up, especially people who have very intense lifestyle, and their job is to deal face to face with the customers. They're reading that book a lot. And then aside of this, I am listening to lots of music that also inspires me. So I'm not sure if you or our listeners know Vardruna, and that's a band who is playing this Norwegian Viking chants, and then Faun, Omnia. That are again a very similar bands that are playing this kind of Viking style music, which I kind of like. And then because I moved to Essex, then obviously old school raves. That's also a bit of very old Prodigy, and that also is on my playlist.
Okay, that sounds really great.
You know, if I can add one more thing that really inspires me,
sure,
because that probably people would enjoy. So whoever will be in London, don't forget to go to Tate Britain. Tate Modern is the famous one, but there's also Tate Britain is the is more like classical stuff, when Tate Modern is more like a modern art. But there is like lots of interesting things to see, and I've been there twice. That's quite sad that I've been only 2 times for last 10 years. I'm in London, but if you are in London, go to Tate Britain because it's fantastic.
Okay, that sounds really nice. And my last question to you is, because we don't have time, which is a shame because we could talk about your work for a long time. So tell me, in reference to the podcast title, How to Stay on Top of Your Work, how do you stay on top of your work?
Well, I'm trying to automate as much as I can. I am trying to be very disciplined. I'm trying to eat well, and I'm trying to go sleep on time. So simple rules, I think, and still trying to keep balance between my professional life and my relaxed private life. Yeah, but recently I was reading that you shouldn't be hungry, anxious. You shouldn't be. I don't remember right now, but definitely these 2 are important. You shouldn't be hungry. You shouldn't be anxious, and everything else, I think, will kind of self-sorted.
Okay, thank you very much, Lukasz, for the interview. It was my pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise,
thank you
very, very much for your time. And I just wanted to say a warm greetings to all the guests who are listening to us today. And and that was a pleasure. And let's stay in touch.
Stay in touch.
If you don't mind, I would just only mention that people can find me on LinkedIn, people can find me on Twitter. I also have a website, zelezny.uk, and and potentially they can catch me there if they would have any questions. So I will be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
This podcast was brought to you by Timecam. You can listen to it on iTunes and SoundCloud. Subscribe to get more content and always stay on top of your work.